So last time I flipped this bus over in my yard, I mentioned how there's a manufacturer out there who in their training videos says that when a vehicle's on its side or upside down, when you bring the chain around, whether you hook to the low frame rail or the high frame rail, completely changes the amount of force acting on it and how much you have to pull. And I said they're completely wrong. That's not how it works. Well, that upset some people, and I got quite a few messages and emails and even comments on there saying I'm completely wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about. And today we're going to find out for certain, because I bought this big ass load cell that has a wireless readout, and today we're going to flip this bus over one way, flip it back over, do that back and forth, hook to the different points where they say makes a big difference in how much force you're pulling, and we're going to see what the difference actually is. But first, let me just interject here for a minute from the inside of a rolled over school bus to say that this is not to specifically call out the manufacturer or the people in the video who said what they said, because the manufacturer is one of the top in the industry, and the guys in the video who said all this are some of the most knowledgeable guys in the industry. They just happen to say something wrong in a video. I say wrong things in videos all the time. It happens, no big deal. Although I do feel that if you're portraying it as a training video, which none of mine are, you should be a little more careful about the actual facts of what you're saying. This is more to call out the internet experts who very rudely told me how wrong I was, what an idiot I was, and a whole bunch of other names and stuff about me for saying that what they said in that video wasn't correct. Now, on we go. Okay, I got the remotes for both trucks in my hand. I've got the rollback here to bring it back over and to control it as we go up. And I've got the Zac lift, obviously, to do the uprighting and the measuring. So we're on our yellow line here. We only have one line here, so we'll let out on one and pull in on the other. You can see clearly which one is faster. Now the trick is not to have a lot of slack in that line that's going to be catching it, which in this case is the Zac lift, because we don't want to shock load it. We want it to just ever so slowly be the one that takes the weight. The rollback is still doing the pulling. See, I'm slack on the Zac lift side. The bus is still wanting to come back down. Those things are incredibly stable because all the weight in them is down low. A little more slack. We can't be too awful far, I would guess. Look at that. Slack on the Zac lift and that bus is still standing on its own. There we go. Wow. Come on. There we are. That's our balance point right there. You see how both lines are kind of rocking back and forth? Rusty, come on, come on. No, get away from the bus. Go in the house. Go in the house. This is not a Rusty operation. Hey, I love you and I like you hanging out while I work, but this one isn't for you, dog. Okay, so we're at our balance point, and that is crazy to think that is the balance point of a 1980 something Ford school bus. Now granted, there's no seats and people and all of that in it that would add that weight to that downhill side, but that's still pretty freaking impressive. So we should be able now to let out on the Zac lift and set it down with that one. Now I'm going to leave the rollback right where it's at so that it is now our catch, and that'll be our stop every time we come back up. Because we don't need to flop it all the way back onto its wheels on every one of these. What we really need to do is, the most force you see is right at the lift. As it goes up higher and higher and higher, the amount of force you're actually having to pull to continue uprighting it drops and gets lower. This is the hardest part of the pull, as you'll see on the load cell. So once we get it up to that balance point and this line catches tight, our catch line here, we can in all reality set it back down, re-rig to the next spot or whatever we're gonna do, and do it again. So we are right now hooked to just right the window post right here on the side of the bus. And to explain the conundrum that we're having here is, like I said, it's one of the main manufacturers of wrecker equipment, and I'm not going to name names or company names or anything like that, because this isn't to call anyone out. This is just to prove basic freaking physics here. They say in their training videos that you should take that cable or rope or whatever, chain, go all the way around underneath the thing that you're trying to upright and go all the way up to the high side frame rail, because that chain coming up and going to the high side frame rail pulls down on it, drives this into the ground harder, which helps stand the bus up and helps spin it around to upright. That's a bus, a trailer, a truck, a sea container, whatever. I say that is complete BS. A lot of people will come down and they'll hook to the bottom frame rail because, well, see right here where this isn't in the way, it's an easy grab with a hook. And then you can go underneath and come on around. And on a lot of like box trucks or semis or stuff like that, that's your most solid point you can grab. But they say, skip the bottom one, go to the top one. That gives even more downward driving force to help this bite in, push down, and spring this over. I cannot understand the logic behind that when this frame rail is tied to this frame rail with a whole bunch of cross members that are solid steel. So if you're pulling down on this frame rail, how the hell are you not pulling down on this one as well? If anyone can explain the physics of that to me, I'd love to hear it. Likewise, if you come all the way up here and are pulling down on this, this is pushing down on this, making it exactly the same as if you're pulling down on this. There cannot be a physical difference between which one you grab. So we're gonna do a low frame rail upright, a high frame rail upright, then to really just stir it all up and go to the extreme, since those are so close together, we're also gonna do this first lift that I got going on right now, where, I don't know if you can see in there or not, but we're just hooked into the window frame right on the outside of right here. So we're pulling from this very edge and uprighting, and then we'll do those two frame rails, and then we'll go to the opposite extreme of this and go all the way around the bus and grab the window back up here, all the way around, and see if that makes a difference. Because if from here straight up to all the way around and over doesn't make a difference, frame rail to frame rail doesn't make a difference. So we are going to, we don't need this one anymore. We're gonna get our readout here, and it's in kilograms because I didn't know how to set it to pounds. Now it's saying 106 because there's the weight of that rigging hanging down on the line providing tension. It was zeroed when just the rigging and all was hanging from it vertically here, because the tension that the rigging places on the line is part of the pull, so we have to measure that just the same. I think I'm gonna stop for a second and put Rusty in the house. Okay, Rusty is in the house. I've got our readout here. I've got our Zac lift control here. I think you guys can see that in the screen. And we're gonna upright this bus. So that right there, as soon as we start getting off the ground, 1,000 kilograms, 994, right in that range. We'll stop again just a little higher. Once this whole bottom side is off the ground, that should be our peak load that we're gonna see on this whole pull. So we're 1,016, we're right there. And look, now we're gonna start dropping. And the higher we come up, the more it's gonna drop, because the easier of a pull we're getting to. So that is our tipping point right there. Now we have both of these two trucks fighting each other. That's why we're seeing 400 kilograms right there. And then I'm gonna take a picture of this because that looks pretty cool. Take a picture of both in there. Okay, so now we can set this thing back down and change the rigging. So again, we're just gonna go down, and you'll see that kilogram number slowly increase as we get lower and lower, and we're adding leverage onto this. And if we stop, well, we got the side of the bus on the ground there. If we get the back to where we got all the weight on it. And we're right back 1,025. I think that's going to be our peak we're going to see on this. And I am telling you right now that that is going to be the number we are going to see every freaking time in every configuration. All right, so we're all slack now, which means we can put that down. We're done with that. We're going to come over here and we're going to go, of course we're sitting on it like that. The fuel tank's in the way, so we're going to go behind the fuel tank and just do it like this. I should have set up where this wasn't in the way, make this all easier and such, you know, but I never said I was good at this. So should I make everybody mad and just tip load the hell out of that hook like that and see how it does? Probably bend down on that flange. No, because I use that hook for actual jobs, so I don't want to weaken it and then on an actual critical lift or something stupid it fails. That would be dumb. So we're not going to do that. We will wrap this whole frame rail here. And I'm doing this all kind of in a one take sort of fashion, so no one can say there's any sort of trickery going on. Problem is I've got way too much chain here, but we'll see if that will pull through. The other thing I should have done was I should have blocked under this on the side. Well, you know what? No, we're not gonna. We're just gonna see if it'll pull through. Grab me some remote. See if I'm saying if I put a block right there, I will do that. That way we're doing everything even. So let me stand this back up. And then, do I have laying around? Here's one of them. I'm safe to go right here because I know the bus is going to fall the other way if it falls. There's a block there, and then the other way is the side I don't want to stand on. So we will lower this back down. Not putting hands where they can get crunched. All right, so we're still hooked up exactly the same as we were. And just to show that we're still doing the same amount of pull here. Get it off the ground. Right in that 1,010, 1,020 range. So that is our peak. So we can set this down, slack it all off, and see now we have room for the chain to slide underneath. I don't like how I'm pinching on that fuel tank, and I probably wouldn't really set up like that in a real recovery, but it's got this big piece here and it's a big square frame around it, so it'll probably hold. And you know the good thing, testing it right here, if I'm gonna rupture something, I'd like to know whether or not it would rupture here in my yard than on the side of the road. So screw it, we'll do it like that. Okay. All right. I moused this hook with some tape so it wouldn't fall off. Now I need it to fall off. Perfect. Okay. That should pull our chain up and around. As long as that hook doesn't grab the inside of the windshield frame. No, I think it's doing what we want. Okay. So we're on tension, so we can see. Oh, no, we gotta pull harder. There it is. It was caught up right there. Come on. Come on, slide through. Dang it. It's kind of bound up. There it is. Okay. Now we're on our tension. That's hung up. It was kind of bound where it goes under the body there. So now we are wrapped around and up to the bottom frame rail. That's on a lot of box trucks, semis, van trailers like that one back there. That's going to be your first solid point to hook to, and that's what most people will grab. That this particular manufacturer, and I believe even one of the expert training companies out there, says is the way to go, or this is the wrong way, they say. So get this thing off the ground. 1,080, 1,100. How funny would it be if the actual opposite showed as true, and that just grabbing it from the closest point gives the least amount of weight? So let's get to just off the ground where we were. I think that's right where the whole side comes off the ground. 1,100. And then you see it just starts dropping from there. So we're going to set back down, we're going to loosen up our chain, and we're going to go to that high side frame rail. Hopefully those hooks where they're married together aren't pinched in there. Okay. So we'll set this back down. We're going to undo this here. And I would just like to clarify that no, I am nowhere near doing this the correct way, like you're on a job, because we're not on a job. We're simply trying to prove some numbers here. So that's what we're doing. Dang it, that was what I was afraid of. I have those two hooks married together, and I didn't leave enough space here with that block to get them out. So, come to me. I need you, blue line. Okay, we're gonna free spool our blue, and we're gonna use it to pull those hooks out from under there so I don't sit here yanking it by hand, wearing myself out for no reason. Because one thing we learned from last time I tried flipping this bus over in my yard is that life-threatening injuries are not fun, and we don't want to repeat that. God, this yankum rope is so much nicer to work with and pull out and do all that stuff than the steel cable was. This should 100% be a factory option from Zacklift to have this unit come straight from the factory with yankum rope on it. I think I'm going to petition for that to happen. So we're going to use, oh, this chain ain't going to work at all. Dang it. Neither will those because I have the different end on them. Okay, we'll get the other big one. This is what we need. So this will work. because we can hook this hook to this hook like so, and this can go right here. We'll grab that chain link and pull it out of there. So we'll come back over here, lock in our blue, and then slowly, eventually, pull that chain out to where those hooks are exposed. Come to me. There they are. Okay. Now, sure this one comes out too. Perfect. Okay. That can come out of there. And this come out of there. And we can come up here. We go under, grab the frame right there. And now, those hooks can go back underneath. Okay, so we're going to start by bringing everything we can out of there, which actually went really well. And okay, that's all that's got. Okay, so we're gonna we're all set over here. Might as well take this off just so it's not here anymore. Let's go get our remote. We are now hooked all the way around to the high side frame rail. Like the manufacturer says, is gonna cause less weight or more downward force on here. We gotta put the boom back where it was. I purposely put the boom at full height so that it was always pulling from the exact same spot for all of this. So since we lowered it, we need to go back to exactly full height where we were. In a previous video, I mentioned about there's not another DTU, detachable towing unit, out there that can do what the Zaclift does, and this is what I'm talking about. Until the Genesis, this unit came out from Zaclift, no DTU did this, which is why everybody thinks of them as a towing unit that they'll use to like legally scale heavy loads and stuff like that, because they're not recovery units like a wrecker. This is 100% topped out, 100% full-on 30-ton wrecker, just like any other. So, okay, we got tension. Come over, make sure that we're all the way around and up to that high side frame rail, and everything's tight. We're good there. So now we can perform our lift and see what the numbers say. Let's get that thing, that whole bottom side of it, just off the ground. What do you know? Exactly the freaking same as the low side frame rail. Because the two are connected, just like I said. How can you not see what's going on there? Okay, so look at that. Same numbers. Not a single freaking difference. And again, it just goes lighter and lighter until our catch line pulls in at our balance point. We can set it back down and we're going to see the numbers climb right back up. I think we're sitting on the ground there. Oh yeah, we still are at the bottom. We're sitting on my wood block there. Yeah, it's doing the exact same thing. Just like the other one did. Now is where we go all kinds of goofy. We're gonna slack this way down, and we're gonna go to the extreme here. So we're now gonna take that chain, we're gonna loosen it here to its loosest position, and we're gonna, come here, and we're gonna go all the way around this whole bus and wrap it up like we're trying to pull start the thing, and see what happens then. And then we can compare our numbers from the two extremes. Those things must have dug their own little trench through there. All right, I think I want to use a rim swing just like I have on the other side. And then we'll use a shackle for good measure. Let's see if I can almost die again. You freaking kidding me? I just tossed this and the shackle up here, and the shackle went in the window. I'll go get another shackle. And I won't throw this one on top of the bus that has no windows up there. Set you down. Okay, so I guess I don't need to do that really. I could just wrap this around and do it that way. Okay, see my other shackle down there in the bottom? Maybe I'll get lucky and it'll fall back out. I don't even need them. That would have so bounced right up and hit the tail light, just my luck. But look at this. No other detachable tow unit can do that. Okay, watch your footing. Don't slip off. Okay, so we are hooked back in. We'll shorten this. I guess that's short. So, right back here, now we are wrapped all the way around the bus, up and over, and back to the top side. Like we're just trying to barrel roll it out of there, and it ain't gonna make a freaking difference one. As you will see right now. Look at that. Right in that same 1,000 to 1,100 mark. Exactly. So I should keep this shown. And it's just going to get lighter and lighter pull every time. There we are. Back to our tipping point. No freaking difference. Just like I said in that previous video, and so many people got mad at me. Now you know that if you thought I was wrong, you were wrong. And there's no two ways about that. And this is the part where people think I'm an a-hole and just trying to start stuff. But no, I'm right. If I was wrong, and this showed it, I'd gladly admit I was wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times. I'll admit it. But when I'm right, I will fight you to the death on it. And there's no two ways about that. You will not out-stubborn me, plain and simple. Where the rigging connects on the vehicle is 100% irrelevant. Actually, that's not true when you say it like that. What matters is where the rigging comes off of the vehicle that you're uprighting and the angle it comes off at. So that point right there, we're pulling this line back tight to show you. Right there. That point in the rigging and the angle it comes off at is all that matters. If that does not change, nothing, the termination, you could wrap that stupid chain around here 500 times. The termination point beyond that point right there does not matter, does not make a difference. End of story. Because this right here is the fulcrum. That tire on the ground, that tire on the ground, or the side of the body on the ground, whatever is right here, that is your fulcrum. That's your pivoting point where everything pivots from. Where this grabs and the angle it's pulling from in relation to the fulcrum is all that matters. So as this uprights and that cable, rope, whatever chain starts to lift off the body, you're changing the point that it connects to the body at, and that will change the amount of load and the amount of leverage it has. But still, beyond that, the termination point, no matter where you put it, is completely irrelevant. And no, the gas tank didn't rupture, didn't even dent it, didn't even budge it. So that's good to know if I'm ever in this situation on the side of the road. Now I know some of you have probably already commented or going to comment that, yeah, Casey, you measured the amount of pull on that line, you didn't measure the amount of weight that it put down on the ground. That put more weight down there and you don't know it because you're not measuring it. And you're right, I have no idea how much weight is actually being pushed down on those tires when I'm lifting that thing and this whole side's off the ground and that's all that's sitting there. I don't know, but what I do know is the amount of weight on those tires didn't change by hooking it different ways. And I know that because the amount of pull on that lift line didn't change. And the simple fact here is that we cannot change the total amount of weight we're dealing with. We can change how much we're pulling by leverage. Like if I ran this line straight down and hooked straight to this frame rail and pulled that way, I'm gonna have to pull really hard to get it to come over. By going over the top and grabbing up there as far as I can on the other side, I'm gonna have to pull less. But beyond that, where that line terminates, doesn't matter. Just like if I ran this thing straight through there, down, back up, around, over, and crossed my toes and bunny rabbit through the shoelaces, it doesn't matter. What we can't change is the total amount of weight we're dealing with. And if the amount of weight we are lifting up and pulling didn't change, the amount of weight being put down on the ground didn't change. That's something that cannot be argued. This is a fixed amount of weight. Nothing will change that. So when you're doing a rollover recovery and you're looking to where to terminate your hook on the back side of the vehicle or underneath something like that, the easiest point you can get to that is strong enough to do the job is the best point to go to, in my opinion, because nothing's going to change the amount of leverage and the amount of pull it takes, the amount of drive it has into the ground to hold it in place. It's simply not. The best thing to grab, as far as I'm concerned, and what I'm going to choose to grab, is going to be the easiest thing to get to. And on this school bus, just like when I did it the first time, the easiest thing to get to is going to be those window frames right there. You hook those, it goes right up over there. Same amount of pull leverage as if you wrapped all the way around, so why fight getting all the way underneath the bus and all the way into the vehicle when it doesn't help you one bit. Like I said, this is not to call anyone out, this is not to name names, this is not to say anyone's an idiot or anything like that, but I saw something that I 100% disagreed with, and I knew in my head, based on physics, was wrong. Now the scale proved that it was wrong, and that is a certified load cell. The load cell is a certified load cell. It has a certification, all that stuff that I bought. It's rated for 22,000 pounds of lift, which is coincidentally what this boom is rated for at full extension, so it should be good for anything I'm doing. Yeah, that's that. And am I a little bit fired up about it? You're damn right I am, because I got called every name and every stupid thing you could possibly imagine by the experts on YouTube and emails and messages and all that crap, while knowing in my head the whole time that I was right. Especially when the lowest number we saw in that load cell the entire time is what should have been the worst according to the experts, and that's directed at the YouTube experts, not the manufacturer. They do know what they're talking about in a lot of areas. They were just wrong about this one. All good. But when I went down and just hooked the window edge right there, had nothing going underneath and pulling down on the other side, no sort of advantage, supposed advantage, anything like that you get from that, was actually the easiest upright of the whole thing with the lowest numbers on it. So now that we're done proved everything we need to prove, we're gonna go ahead and upright this all the way over, set it all the way down, just like we would do on a normal job. We've got the Zac lift boom all the way up and all the way out to give as much lift on this as possible. In all reality, if we back this up much closer and left just enough room for it to land, we'd be having more lift, but we're kind of replicating what the manufacturer had in that training video. We've got the rollback here as a catch, and although I know that rope is the correct length to catch this at its tipping point, if we're on the side of the road doing this for real, I wouldn't know where that tipping point is just yet, so I wouldn't let it just stay all the way out. I would bring it in and have it tensioned up, and I'll follow it out so that as we get to the tip point, I've got it. And actually what I'll do is I'll switch remotes here so that the truck on this side is in this hand, truck on this side is in this hand. So we're gonna get close. I know it's gonna take more slack than that. So now we're gonna bring up tension on our Zac lift here. And we know that this is much faster than this, so we're gonna start going out on this one right away, but not out so much that we bird nest it. The good thing is with the synthetic, it doesn't do it like cable does. So we're gonna bring right over. The rollback line is starting to get tight. Man, this might actually work out just right. Okay, rollback line is tight. We're gonna let off the Zac lift line now and just let out with the rollback. That was a nice smooth transition. I'd love to say that was pure experience right there, but it just happened to work out just right between that one being so much faster than this one. Now if we wanted to get crazy, we could also bring that other line on the Zac lift down to the low side frame rail here to help catch it and set it down. We might actually do that just to show how that works. And look at that. Right back onto its wheels, everything's slack. It could not have gone smoother than that, so I'm gonna quit right now while I'm ahead.